Okay, guys. Recently I watched a video, and it was about a way to um, bleed the master cylinder on a '07 Mustang GT. Um, it was, it's. I'm sure a lot of cars have that same slave cylinder in them, and they're extremely problematic due to the fact that the way they're designed, the input tube, the liquid tube is on the side, which is a very, very poor design, obviously. You can't get all the air out of it. And when you do, it's just a real pain in the ass to do. So I got to looking one day and decided I was going to try it a different way, and I figured out a way that works absolutely flawless, and it took me less than 5 minutes to do, or maybe 5 minutes. Super, super simple. Um, this is my ride now. Just got it rebuilt, got about 120 miles on it. It's a Vortec V3 HO kit. I've got the 127 650 cams. This thing lopes like a three-legged horse. And took it to the dyno and got some pretty good numbers, I believe. It's 541.29 horsepower, and torque is 469.47. You can see those numbers there. And that was done over here at Tuners Inc. It's a local tuner in Jacksonville, Florida, or actually Orange Park, Florida. The air fuel ratio is dead on. It pulls extremely strong. So, but this is just my setup. But back to the slave cylinder issue. Obvious issues is bleeding this thing. I've heard people that either do it before they put it in, and still they end up with a lot of issues, or they put their car on an incline or jack up one side of it, or put some sort of vacuum device on it, that type of thing, and it's just it takes entirely too long. So I figured out a way, and I'm sure somebody else probably knows about this as well, and this isn't the only way to do it. I want to stress that this is not the only way to do it, but this works for me, and it has worked every time. And I've done other people's cars, and they're just like, my God, I fought this thing for hours and hours to get a pedal, and you do it in 5 minutes. So here's what I did. Obviously this is the reservoir. The brake and the slave cylinder share this, so brake fluid is contained in that. And right here is the hose. It hooks to a nipple right here on the side. That nipple is extremely brittle, not due to just heat, but the brake fluid and that type of thing. Just it over time it makes it extremely fragile. So this hose here that comes out the side next to the brake booster and that type of thing, if you follow it back, it goes all the way to the pedal. And what you do is, this right here is my boost line, so ignore that part, but this line here. So once you undo this clamp here, you take and you stand it up right here. And what I did is I used what they call a slip tip or irrigation syringe. I'm in the medical field, so that was readily available to me. Anything that will fit inside of this tube, once you pull it up, this hose will work as long as it has a good fit. If you can find a funnel that'll fit in there, that'd be perfect. And what you do is you stand it up right here, and what I do is I tuck a rag right here just to kind of support it so it doesn't fall over. And you put about fill it up about halfway full with brake fluid, whatever capacity you want. I do about half or maybe a quarter, just enough to keep it full and not let air back in. And I simply go inside and I pump the pedal probably no more than 20 times, up and down, and you'll see that pedal gets extremely firm very quick. And if you have any kind of transparent, like I had the syringe that stood up right here, you can sit in the car and you can actually watch the air bubbles come up through the tube, through the syringe, or if you have a funnel. But the idea is to keep that funnel or syringe with liquid in it so that it doesn't suck air back down in there. But what you do is you push the pedal all the way to the floor and let it return back to its normal position, and do that maybe 20 times. That's about all it took me, is 20 times, and you will end up with an extremely good pedal, and you will see that there's no more air coming up through the fluid there. So that's what I do. And of course, when you get done with this, you want to put a pair of some sort of way of clamping this closed. I used a pair of needle nose vice grips and just clamped it down on it, just enough to make sure that air doesn't, when you take the funnel off. I mean, you want to keep that brake fluid off your paint too. It'll destroy your paint. If you get it on there, just rinse it off really well with a hose. And what I did is, like I said, I had the clamp on here, the vice grips, and when you take this hose off, of course, there's going to be fluid left in the reservoir. So you got to put a little rubber cap of some sort over the nipple here. And again, I can't stress it enough, be extremely careful with the nipple that sticks out the side of this, because otherwise you're going to end up buying one of these reservoirs, and they are not cheap. They will bend you over for that. So again, put a little rubber cap over the nipple that sticks out. Take the hose, stand it up, put the funnel or syringe, whatever you have access to, that'll fit into the end of the hose real well, and then fill it full of fluid, or halfway full. Go inside and pump the pedal, and you'll watch the air bubbles come up, and then clamp this hose off about midway here. Clamp it off, and then take the little cap you put on the nipple here, take that off, and while the vice grips or your clamp, whatever you choose to use, is still on here, slide this hose back onto the nipple, and then of course put your clamp back on here, and make sure your reservoir is topped off to the proper level, and then you're good to go. You will have a very good pedal, and it shouldn't take you 5 minutes at the most actual pumping time, and 10 minutes for the entire job. So very easy way of doing it. You don't have to sit there and wait 24 hours, jack your car up, anything like that. It gets done extremely quick and very efficient. So hope this helps. Let me know what you think.